What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It is 3 p.m. That means it is time to talk about some crypto and some other things as well. Of course, the biggest news so far today coming from Kucoin, and then probably the end of Kucoin. We're going to get into that. But what might be a loss for Kucoin, massive win for Ethereum. If you're wondering why that is, we will be talking about that and a whole lot more. Make sure to go ahead and smash that like button as we get into this fine Tuesday of a show. I am joined by T-Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T-Shroom, how you feeling today?
Well, Tim, I'm feeling better than I deserve, right?
Good.
And I felt that way for quite some time at this point, and I don't really anticipate that changing. So let's get on with the quote of the day. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. That's your boy, Winston Churchill. What do you think about that one there, Tim?
That's good. I'm a big fan of Winston Churchill. I think that he's dead on here. I think that it's hard to actually appreciate success without knowing what failure feels like either. It's if you win at everything, it's not really fun. The concept, it's like the fear of thinking you might lose, but then the triumph of winning is what makes it so glorious. If you just win everything you ever do, kind of sucks. Kind of a dumb life.
Yeah, you never really know what it tastes like to. It's just that contrast too. You know, the more you lose, the more you know what it tastes like to lose, and then you taste victory, and you're like, "Wow, this is very different."
It's true.
So those higher highs, those lower lows, Tim. It's definitely something we're well acquainted with here on this side of the chart, for sure. Of which you have not shared with me your chart, so that's unfortunate.
I wasn't going to today. I didn't really think you needed to know what's happening on my chart. But since you insist upon it, I will. I'll go ahead and share a screen or two.
Well, go ahead and do that. There's something coming up. I don't know what this is, but this is Robinhood presents the new gold standard. It's tonight, Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should we go live, bros? Should we go live and cover this? It's going to be a live event. I don't know what it is or what it's about, but
no idea.
Hopefully it's not just them trying to promote their gold membership thing, because it's like, we get it. You get the free 4.1% or whatever return on your cash, but I don't know. It could be a big announcement. They could be finally adding Cardano and Polygon back. I don't know that that's what it's going to be, but that could be one of the big announcements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I'm going to go live for that, T-Shirt. If you want to go live, be my guest. Before we jump in here and take a look at the market open, I want you guys to put in chat, did you buy anything today? Was it today? I mean, it's a boring sideways day, but a little bit of a dip. Were you buying anything? If so, what were you buying? Let's go over here and take a look at what CoinMarketCap is saying to us. Of course, we've had some bullish. We had a bullish day the last couple of days. Bitcoin back up over 70K, but today we're back down about 1%. You're going to see similar marks there on Ethereum, 1.6. In fact, you got to scroll all the way to coin number 11 before you see anything in the green in the top 24. So all 10 of our top 10 coins are in the red today. Let's take a look at our biggest gainers as a whole. Dog with Hat making a 17% jump here. Aptos is up. Internet Computer, ICP. I'm telling you guys right now, ICP is slowly, it's creeping up as a big contender for me. Some of you guys know, I made a video a couple days ago. I'm gonna have to make an updated video. I'm gonna give ICP a little bit of a break when it comes to the afternoon videos. I think it's had like 3 of the last 4 days. Let's wait till like next week sometime. But I'm gonna make an updated price prediction for ICP, because my original one, T-Shroom, was under the assumption that we'd probably be somewhere between a top 20 to top 15 coin, right? Well, it's now number 18, and the more I'm learning and the more I'm talking with others, I'm not ready to call ICP a top 5 contender just yet, but I think a top 10 is definitely doable, and that changes my price prediction pretty heavily. So stay tuned for that one. But ICP, one of the big gainers, and also, just so you guys know, ICP is one of the coins I actually bought earlier today. So check that one out. Beam, now that I bought it, it's probably going to go down, of course. That's just how those things work. But I'm in it for the long haul. Beam is up here almost 10%. Sui is up. FET is up. I heard people throwing some crazy accusations about FET. T-Shirt, are you a FET fan?
I think it's a strong project. What I'll say is I have a lot more AGIX. I don't have any FET exposure.
Yeah, yes, solid.
So, I don't have anything against VET, though, to be honest with you. It
Well,
looks solid.
what I heard is that potentially we could see FET could be one of those coins extremely bloated that ends up cooling off and ends up doesn't produce anything. And I told you guys, we have sources that have told us that the AI will probably still keep climbing, but there is a level of some form of a bubble on AI, and there are several projects that are running off of hype and they haven't even begun to work on their product yet. Like they're raising money, but they don't even have a concept for a business. So is that FET? I'm not out here throwing any accusations around, but I'm hearing some rumblings that could be FET. We'll have to do some deeper dives there. Let's take a look, T-Shroom, on a red day. What are our biggest losers? Go figure. KuCoin token. Now I'm surprised it's only down 13.9%. I'm surprised it's not down a lot more than that. More than likely tomorrow it will be down further. It is our biggest loser. Akash Network down 9%, Toncoin down 8%, Phantom down 7%, Lido down 6%, Caspa down 6%. Ooh, that's good. Time to pick up some more Caspa. And Ondo is also down 6%. Now, Ondo, one of your coins you're shorting over here, T-Shroom. So
Indeed.
Is that success for you? When did you get into that short?
I got into it today. Says when I entered into all my trades for drafting our different coins. So we'll see. I'm down on all of them, I think, so far, but the week's not over. The week is far from over, Tim.
Dylan Martinez in chat says, Tim, is it a bubble if the tech is real? I mean, there can be bubble. Obviously, bubble meaning whatever it is oversaturated and it's overbought and could burst at any moment. I would say you're probably less if the tech is real. But there are several AI projects that, again, they have not even begun working on a product. They're just in the middle of raising funds. Again, I don't know about FET. I just heard someone say that. I'm just echoing something that I've heard. Please continue to do your own research before you invest in any token, any project whatsoever. T-Shroom, let's go ahead and check out the markets, and then we're going to get into some news here a little earlier. Let's start off with some TA. Bitcoin dropping just a little bit here. I actually went ahead and entered my short earlier today on Bitcoin for my competition with T-Shroom. It's not, I mean, I could easily see myself losing this one. I had to enter some sort of short to counter my two longs and to keep up with T-Shroom. And right now I'm technically profitable because I think I entered somewhere around 70,200. What I'm looking at, though, of course, the reason why I entered a little bit of a short is even though we broke some key areas, we did on the daily chart get up into Lux Algo's smart trail concept. You can see we technically still have a take profit below us. And even though we got a bounce back up in our oscillator, the money flow is not confidently moving to the upside here on the daily chart. Instead, it's actually looks like it's dropping again today. While we did get a bounce on the RSI 50 line, again, we're just not seeing really any strength come back here on these longer time frames. There was a lot of bullishness on the 4-hour chart that popped us up, and that's very bullish for the next couple of days. But take a look at what happened on the 4-hour chart. We hit our take profit pretty convincingly, got up here close to my level. I said keep an eye around 72,000. We made it to about 71,600, but we hit that take profit, and it does look like we're keeling back over. I'm on watch for somewhere maybe back down towards 67, maybe even a revisit back down to the order block and the smart trail concept here on the 4-hour chart back towards 63, 64. Again, that would still be a higher low here in the process of a bull run. So I'm not going full-blown bearish here. But I did enter a short on Bitcoin for that trade. We'll see how much I make out of that. Look at the money flow here on Bitcoin's 4-hour. We had a little bit of excessive buyers come in. They are now gone. We now are bearish on all three fronts. We had our bearish reversal. We had the bearish momentum dot, and now the money flow is flowing negatively here on the 4-hour chart. So I feel decent about my short entry right here. And now the question is, where do I take profit? I'll look for signs of strength to come in to decide. When we hit towards 67, that's probably what I'm going to keep my eye on. Should I be taking some profit here for Bitcoin? But a shout out to Lux Algo kind of killing these trades here. You guys can see they're calling it just about perfect here. These red reversal clouds, we're getting right up into them, rejecting here. Smart trail concept, we're getting some pretty good. If you're trading just based off of these signals on Lux Algo, you're doing pretty well. You would have entered a short back here. You got to be patient, obviously. We enter a short back here, more than took profit down the way. We're currently under a long position. We hit our take profit. Everything is kind of checking out. Make sure you go check it out. We've got a lot of people signing up for Lux Algo here as of late, and that is because they're killing it in the trading game. If you want to trade this bull market, and guess what? Bull markets are where it's most fun to trade. but you want a little bit of help, Lux Algo is the one for you. And best thing, here's the other thing. Yes, it costs money. Go check out the link down below. But if for some reason you try it for a month and you're not liking it, you can cancel, get your money back, guaranteed. That's another cool thing about Lux Algo. I don't think you will, though. I think you're going to make so much money trading, you're going to say, all right, let me just go ahead and keep this bad boy and keep rocking with it. But go check them out down below. Let's take a look here at a couple other coins. Just checking in on some of the community's favorites. Cardano, you guys can see here, yes, we got bullish here, but check it out. Lux Algo giving us a nice order block, plus the red level of our smart trail concept paired with the take profit. Kissed it just perfectly, cooling off right here. 4-hour oscillator also starting to speak bearish whispers to us. Guess what? Red reversal, bearish momentum, negative money flow. Short on Cardano looks to be in play. We're also seeing that MACD look like it is about to cross bearish. So keep your eyes on that potential move back down towards 61 cents. Cardano been a little bit of a boring coin recently. You know, the haters are coming back out of the woodwork, T-Shroom. Should people be selling their Cardano and running for the hills?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think right now is accumulation season for old Cardano.
Yeah. Absolutely. It does this every single couple of months. Like, you'll have these really explosive movements on one coin, and everyone thinks that coin's the absolute greatest, but then that coin gets boring, and then everyone wants to say, oh, that coin's dead. It's terrible. It's never going to make it. And then out of nowhere, it takes off and goes back up. So that's exactly what we're seeing here with Cardano, guys. I am not too worried about Cardano, even if right now it's not the most bullish coin, and it's been boring for the last couple of weeks. Just wait for the spark to come back, and it will come back. Speaking of a spark that needs to come back, let's take a look at Chainlink real quickly. Of course, bounced kind of perfectly on the zone that we talked about. Also bounced off of our green support band here on Lux Algo on the 4-hour chart. Made our bullish move. Look at this. Enter a long entry right here after leaving green support. Hit our take profit and the red resistance perfectly. Should have taken a profit right there. Take a look back down towards $18, where we'll have our smart trail concept and an order block on the 4-hour chart. Keeping an eye there. Again, looks like as a whole right now, a lot of things probably looking to take a dump. We saw it on Bitcoin, saw it on Cardano. We're over here on Chainlink, 4-hour chart again. Red reversal came in. Bearish momentum is now in play, and that money flow is negative. So again, the great trifecta of tradings shorts has triggered on much of the crypto market. In fact, let's just take a look. Let's take a look what the crypto total market cap is looking like, and that's what it is. This is total. So this is Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is everything. We are seeing the three signs. This is total. With all those, total 1, meaning let's just exclude Bitcoin. Sure enough, yep, we have the trifecta there, and then excluding Ethereum as well. Not quite there yet because we're still above the threshold. So altcoins as a whole holding up actually better right now than Bitcoin and Ethereum. But you do see that money flow starting to move sideways. So once we get below that threshold, that will be kind of the confirmation. Even total 3 is ready to take a dip. And, you know, we could see the whole market come back down something in the realm of 6-7% before it finds some level of support. So be ready for some red candles across the crypto space. T-Shroom, we'll go back and do some more TA later on. I think we covered a lot of ground there, more than we usually cover in the first little bit of the show. We're getting some news, and then we will do some Q&A later in the show. So if you guys have a coin that you're dying to know what the TA is saying, save it. Come back towards the end of the show. We'll get some Q&A in there. What have we got in the way of news today, T-Shroom?
Well, Tim, it's ricocheting, and it's reverberating throughout the crypto media. Crypto exchange Kucoin violated anti-money laundering laws, the U.S. charges. I'll get into some of the details here. U.S. DOJ said in an indictment that Kucoin and founders CG and KT operated Kucoin as a money transmitting business with over 30 million customers, but did not implement KYC or AML, anti-money laundering program, until 2023, and even then, its KYC program did not apply for existing customers. Neither Gan nor Tang were arrested, the DOJ said in a press release. There's more information here. There is a mention of Tornado Cash association, but if you're in an exchange of this size, you're going to have some money sent, some funds sent from Tornado Cash. That's, you know, in some sense, that's kind of out of their hands, in my opinion. The CFTC is seeking monetary penalties. CFTC is seeking monetary penalties, trading and registration bans, and an injunction, while the DOJ is seeking a forfeiture alongside criminal penalties. So, Tim, you mentioned in the intro that this could be the end of Kucoin. I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, like they're kind of running out of major American exchanges. They did this before the beginning of the new year to Kraken, uh, something similar to this. Kraken
Mhm.
seems to have been successful so far, not getting completely shut down. Now they're coming after Kucoin. Looking at these charges, I mean, they look like what you would expect, and it's kind of hard to know now because the U.S. financial regulators have cried wolf so many times against Coinbase, which is the most compliant exchange there is. But Tim, maybe your body language here is kind of telling us what we need to know, or your screen is frozen. I'm not sure what it is.
Is it my internet? Is it?
Oh,
Am I going in and out?
oh, your screen actually was frozen. I thought you were pretending to fall asleep. No, I think you're
No,
back.
no. I missed most of what you just said right there. I don't even know what happened.
I thought I was boring you. No, you're
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, it was
No, I was frozen. I'm.
you were oh, I think we might be losing Tim. He might need to restart his computer there over at wherever he's got his internet connected to. Well, that's unfortunate. I will press on with this story. Tim hopefully will restart his computer and join back in here in just a second. But we will carry on here. All right, there's a second part to this story, which we will get to in just a second, actually. Let's go ahead and cover some of the more optimistic news. Tim, restart your computer. This is insurance broker Marsh introduces 825 million crypto custody coverage. So this is bullish because this is something I was talking about, which this could be a potential bullish result of BlackRock and Fidelity's ETFs, right? It's not just raw inflows into those ETFs that ultimately kind of turn into spot buying of Bitcoin. It's also going to trickle into the adjacent economy, right, of BlackRock, which is adjacent to pretty much every niche of the economy that there is, right? And now a big one is insurance, right? Of course, there is no FDIC for crypto. So the insurance market is probably licking their lips looking at something like crypto custody, because as bigger and bigger institutions start to custody their crypto, whether it's their own custody or a third party custodying it, insurance definitely becomes a question. Hey, if something happens to this money, something happens to this asset, what happens? There's not really an insurance market for this yet, but now this could be something that's emerging here. Another story that's pretty bullish here. Eric Bulkanis tweeting out, here's a look at the top 30 ranked by assets in their first 50 days on the market. Went global for this, so this is out of 11,338 funds. 4 Bitcoin ETFs made the list. IBIT, FBTC, which is the Fidelity and the BlackRock, in a league of their own. As you can see here, this is the first 50 days of every ETF, I believe, globally. Ever? That's what it looks like to me. And of course, IBIT and Fidelity's ETF are by far here in the lead. So it's not even really close. In the first 50 days, of course, it getting very, very bullish. Let's look at Dune now actually and see exactly what we're looking at here. Tim, what's up, my man? You think
Can you hear me? I don't know what is going on with my internet.
Absolutely.
You hear me though? You're good. We're good now.
I can hear you now. It looks a lot better. You just had a bad
All right.
connection. But let me finish this point I was making. So 11.2 billion flows since the launch. That is a lot, right? It may not feel all that bullish because we saw the price come back and correct, but that is very bullish, and it's illustrated here. For ETFs, Bitcoin is just dominant. Historically, there's just no comparison, as you can see here. Even Fidelity is more than double the next biggest, which I think is just an index of the Hong Kong market. So it's very bullish. Tim, though, let's return to the Kucoin conversation here, because Kucoin is under investigation. They're being charged by the DOJ and the CFTC. But there's a twist here. So I had asked the question before. It looked like you had fallen asleep. You were literally frozen like this. And I thought you were making a joke like T-Shroom's boring or this story's boring or something. But okay, let me rephrase it. So in the intro, you had said that this could spell the end of Kucoin, right? That this isn't good, and I agree. This is bad. But we've seen almost the exact same thing with Coinbase, with Kraken recently, and with many other exchanges here in the United States. Is the SEC or the CFTC or DOJ, somebody comes in and they're like, "Hey, we got a bunch of questions and money laundering and all of this, KYC. You're not doing enough to be compliant."
Mm-hmm.
Why is this any different? Why do you think that this might be the end of Kucoin?
Well, let's first of all remember that Kucoin, while you can get it in several other places, it was one of the last big draws to American citizens. It was one of the last big ones that you could really utilize. And what they're coming after him here is not a slap on the wrist. It's criminal charges. As the Bitcoin market, as the bull market, I guess I don't know why I said Bitcoin, bull market is heating up, this is not the stuff you want to fight. And Binance, I think, dodged a great bullet fighting their whole lawsuit during the bear market. Did it trickle a little bit into bullish momentum? Yes. But as a whole, the bullish price action started, yes, on the ETF rumor news, but also on the news that Binance was going to settle and just not make this a very big deal, right? Now KuCoin's going to have to go through it during some of the best months of the bull market, the best times for people to get into lower price action before it really explodes. I think when I say the end of KuCoin, maybe the company doesn't burn and die and you never get to use KuCoin again, but it's going to really lose a lot of momentum and it's going to hurt that business significantly. You're going to see people flock to others like Coinbase, like Uphold, like Robinhood, depending on what they want to purchase. Of course, you're going to see, I think this is a continued attack on exchanges to potentially maybe push more people into going the ETF route and going after Bitcoin that way, rather than trying to get some form of an exchange where you can go after altcoins. The biggest thing about the story, though, and ultimately the reason I say that they're dying, that's just narrative. People are kind of worrying. People are very concerned right now. If you're holding money in KuCoin or you're thinking about buying on KuCoin, people are concerned there. What I love, though, is that the CFTC now coming in here, they are making a very big point to fight for the right to go after Ethereum, for them to be the regulatory body that controls Ethereum rather than the SEC. And of course, this is a major win for Ethereum because even though I don't think Ethereum had dropped that much on the news, that is the only thing that I thought was standing in the way of Ethereum having some form of a very bullish bull market was if the SEC pulled some kind of crap out of their hat, and they did, trying to accuse Ethereum of being a security, that was going to be the one thing that could stop Ethereum's momentum. But now that the CFTC has entered the game, people already think Gary Gensler is full of BS. I see this as a massive win for Ethereum and giving those Ethereum holders and founders comfort that they're going to still be recognized and treated like a commodity. That, to me, is the biggest story of this KuCoin headline. And it's like, yeah, you're sacrificing KuCoin to make sure we prop up and have a strong, stable Ethereum. Do you agree, disagree with that take?
Well, Tim, you kind of gestured to the next chapter of this story, which we got immediately upon the breaking of this government issue here, the indictment of prominent global cryptocurrency exchange KuCoin and two of its founders, the criminal charges. Very quickly, some of the brightest minds in the space, some journalists have dug in and they found and even already reported that in multiple parts of the indictment, the CFTC uses the word commodity to describe Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So you can see them highlighted here. In the CFTC's complaint against the exchange, the regulator says the KuCoin allowed investors to trade commodities, including the coins I just stated. So that's what Tim was referring to here. And I'd say overall, this is very bullish for Ethereum. I mean, this could be kind of a jab, from the CFTC at the SEC. Now a lot of people don't know this, but Gary Gensler was actually the leader. He's a chairman now at the SEC, but he was actually, I don't know what the title is there, probably chairman or director.
He's probably chairman, yeah.
Of the CFTC, but that's his old stomping grounds, right? We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. I don't know what the pecking order is in terms of financial regulators, but the CFTC ultimately is not the one that deems an asset, a security, or otherwise. I think it can deem even, it seems like here it's deeming it a commodity as hard as it can, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the SEC can't disagree, and then it would go into courts, and then it would be kind of get its classification there, which is what we already were kind of expecting, given that it's on the desk of the SEC now to get approval for a spot Ethereum ETF. Litecoin is kind of another interesting little nugget here thrown in. I don't know if you wanted to comment on that one, but overall here, I think that we're this story, right? The Kucoin story is a way for these regulators to try this issue. And Ethereum is just one of the issues that they're trying here. The overall issues are AML laws in crypto, right? A continued conversation about that at a legal level, high legal level in the United States, and AML, and then KYC, right? And there's a world where neither of those are going to apply to crypto, but it's looking more and more like they both are, AML and KYC. So to the extent that Kucoin was violating that pre-2023 when they onboarded those policies, they'll be held accountable. But I kind of agree with you, Tim, is in one way or another, the assets are going to get sold off here of Kucoin in the worst case. But in the best case is just what we've seen again and again in crypto, which is the SEC or the CFTC or the DOJ or some American regulator looks at something that they don't like and says, we're bored. Let's poke at the crypto industry again and see if we can make some precedent. And then they get taken to court and they lose. So is this just that again, or is there something really rotten in the state of Denmark over at Kucoin? So we don't know because they've cried wolf so many times.
Yeah, I think as we kind of wrap this one up, there's a couple things I want to say here, but ultimately, I don't want to overstate this. It's literally the CFTC just challenged the SEC. This is political games being played, and it's great to see the SEC challenge. The SEC has this nature; they want to be the big bad bully on the block, and even though you and me, T-Shrew, and probably every single of the 180 people that are watching the stream, we're all on the same page. Bitcoin's not a security. Ethereum's not a security. Cryptos are not securities. There are probably some that might be, but of the big ones that get accused of it, they are not securities. The SEC still wants to throw that accusation out there, and there are enough sheep or people that don't know what's happening that hear that and they're like, oh, the SEC says that it's a security, so that means it's a security. Stay away from it, right? The CFTC is just coming out here and saying, all right, you're going to try to throw around accusations that you have no business actually being the final decider of. We're going to do the same thing. We'll go settle this in court. And ultimately, I think that the CFTC is going to win. They're going to win managing all three of these Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And Litecoin I was never worried about. Litecoin, of course, still proof of work, very similar to Bitcoin. I never thought, it's going to be a hard argument to say that Bitcoin's not a security, but Litecoin is. So not ever really worried about that long haul wise. I want to reference something someone said earlier though, and this pertains to KuCoin.
Go ahead and reference it, Tim.
I'm going to reference it. Someone said, what about MEXC? They better not take away my MEXC. Let me explain to you guys why this is problematic. Even though we all think this is stupid, that they're going to mandate KYC and they're going to mandate all these different things. There's already been a widely accepted notion that, you KYC, you don't do this, you do this, you don't do that. Even if we think it's dumb, we've already given up that fight pretty much. KuCoin's going to lose this. They're going to be forced to pay a bunch of fines for that. It's going to make it very, very hard for larger exchanges to not KYC and operate within the U.S. whatsoever. And unfortunately, MEXC is one of the next to fall. In fact, MEXC might even have some of its own worst troubles where they're going to get gone after by the DOJ, not just because they didn't KYC for the longest time, but also because remember how Binance had a lot of problems because they were still offering in countries that there were sanctions involved with, and that was a big no-no to the World Organization. And they, of course, that's part of the reason why Binance had to eventually back up and say, all right, fine, we're going to settle, we're in trouble. Binance has billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to do all that. MEXC is not. And MEXC played with the same fire. If you want to hold on to your MEXC, go for it. But in case you guys are wondering why we at Investing Bros partnered with Blofin, we were approached by MEXC. We were approached by several exchanges. We went with Blofin because Blofin is not only, I think, a very good exchange for trading, it's one of the newer ones that is still able to do a lot and not get anywhere near the eyes of the DOJ. MEXC does not have the same fate luxury. Its way. So luxury. If you want to continue to hold in MEXC, go for it. But ultimately, I'm just telling you guys, the reason we did not partner with MEXC is because I did not feel comfortable setting you guys up with MEXC only to have a couple of months later, potentially your accounts frozen, shut down, or at the best, you would have to go in and liquidate your entire account and start all over. We went ahead and started with one that we had a lot more faith in for the long haul. That's just where we are with Blofin. If you guys don't like Blofin, that's completely fine. I like them, and I think they're going to win a race against a lot of other exchanges for being some of the last ones to not force you to KYC, and you can actually have some freedom on it here and there. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
BG says let's not talk about MXC yet, please. I'm sorry, just trying to get out ahead of it for you guys.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, stay comfortable. Stay over there if you want.
Yeah, and it's an election year, guys. I mean, every now and then I'll use the phrase "we're not the audience." I think that's also applicable here with these new indictments. I mean, there's levels to it, right? You want to be aware of your crypto holdings, and that's what we try to do here at the Investing Bros. But don't get it twisted here. Is like these indictments are not built for you and I to understand. These huge higher level regulatory actions. They're not here spelling it out for the general population of what this means for you, right? They're yelling at each other publicly about with these legal terms of AML and KYC, and ultimately what's trying to happen here is a philosophical debate, right? Should money be anonymous? Should money be truly free? The Supreme Court ruled in the United States in campaign finance law that politicians should be able to be funded their campaigns to infinity, and people should be able to fund those campaigns with anonymously, right? That, as far as I'm concerned, that's a Supreme Court ruling that I don't necessarily fully agree with, but it's a law of the land, and it says that money is speech. Is speech free or is it not free? And these exchanges, what they're really doing is they're brokering in freedom coins. They're brokering in coins that are not the dollar, that are the supply of which is not determined by the federal government or the Federal Reserve. And that's a threat. That's a threat to an inferior product that is the US dollar. So the government, in my opinion, the DOJ, the CFTC, and the SEC, they're all throwing stones and seeing what can land. And ultimately, but I think philosophically, the debate is still being had in crypto, especially Bitcoin, is still winning the argument. You see the price going up and up and up. Along with that price moving up into the right, it's the principles of freedom of speech, freedom of ownership that are moving right up into the right along with it. And the U.S. government's looking at that and they're thinking, what do we do? And this is what they do. They bungle it. They embarrass themselves again and again. And thank God that we have a judicial system that hasn't completely shoved its head up its what and is ruling justly for this industry of crypto. So hope that continues. Don't know that it will, but hopefully it will. And at least Bitcoin, we know, is kind of through the gate here, squarely pretty much at this point classified as a commodity, has the backing of one of the biggest two of the biggest Wall Street whales of Fidelity and BlackRock, and is adequately decentralized. So it's really, really good. We'll see what else happens here, but we talk a lot in the Investing Bros, but ultimately these are huge issues. These are philosophical issues. This is a revolution in money that is long overdue. People deserve better money. We're trying to make money private again, take it out of the hands of the government, in which it probably never had any business being in the first place. But Tim, there was an unfortunate tragedy that happened this week, last night. We can talk about that. But is there anything that you're seeing here in the chat that is piquing your interest?
Yeah, I saw someone, King D said, so why wouldn't they go after Blofin? Ultimately, even if they go after Blofin, all they're going to do is say, hey, you have to KYC, versus, again, what MexC has to deal with is the fact that they skirted sanctions. So very big difference. But ultimately, the reason why they won't go after Blofin anytime soon is because Blofin's not large enough. And they can only go after so many at a time. They still have resources that get tapped. So they'll go after the big ones first, and the ones that are doing things like, again, allowing places that have been sanctioned to trade. That's a big no-no from the DOJ. Paper Chaser also said, iTrust is your sponsor. What are your best 5 cryptos on iTrust? Ultimately, they have a large plethora of cryptos. What you're looking for is crypto you believe in very, very long term. So the number one coin, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, at this point in time, I need to add some others, but I only have Bitcoin on there. But you got to start with Bitcoin on iTrust. Shout out to iTrust. If you want to find a way to skirt taxes, and every single one of us does, but you want to keep it legal, Roth IRAs with iTrust, that's how you do it. So Bitcoin's got to be the number one. Again, I'm holding, for me to do this, I'm holding for 30-something years. Bitcoin is the only crypto that I feel extremely, extremely confident will definitely still be around. Now, there's others that I still feel confident about. Bitcoin's the only one I'm like, I definitely think this one will be here. I think there's a good case to say Ethereum is still going to be here. I think there's a good case to say Cardano is still going to be here. The one that is definitely, as long as nothing happens anytime soon, I think you got to put Chainlink up in that list of that coin is going to still be here in 30 years. And if I had to pick a fifth one, I don't know where I'm going with that just yet. And there's no guarantee the others in my top 5 definitely are going to be here, but I don't know where I'm going to be with that one because, some people are going to argue Solana, and ultimately what Solana's biggest thing going for it is its speed. Well, what if something else comes out that's a lot faster? So I don't know if I can confidently put Solana in that. What would you say, T-Shirt, if you had to pick a fifth coin?
Well, after today, I mean, Litecoin, right? Litecoin,
Maybe.
one of 3 listed here in the CFTC. And as you can see, it's here on iTrust Capital as well. So, I don't know that Litecoin is like the most bullish coin out there, but it looks pretty promising. I mean, look, the reality is that there's a lot. There's a lot of coins on iTrust. They also have gold and silver, but you'd be surprised by the amount of coins on there. So definitely go ahead and take a look at that. We've got the link down in the description. Should be the first link. C90 kind of giving me the side eye asking about Litecoin. I get it. Look, I'm not super crazy about Litecoin, but they did just get a pretty bullish boost. I believe that they were up pretty good on that news as well of getting classified as a commodity. But
Blockchain Basement just said like ICP. ICP's having its day in the sun. Let's not take away from that. It is too early to say ICP is a lock for still being strong and existing in 30 years. Ultimately, he asked for 5. I'm gonna tell you guys, I would heavily advise you with non-financial advice, of course. I'm going to hold a massive majority in Bitcoin because I do think that's the one that you're going to, I think that's what world wealth will be measured in, especially in 30 years, if not 5 years from right now. People will measure their wealth in Bitcoin. So good question there. Good question. T-Shirt, let's go ahead and keep moving. I think there's a couple other stories we have on the gauntlet today.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something going on here in Baltimore we wanted to cover. This was breaking news this morning. It's unfortunate. I mean, we like to laugh and joke. There really doesn't seem to be too much humor with this story because there are actual people driving over this bridge when it looks like a container ship of some kind just rammed into it and totally took it out. It's very scary. I mean, I've driven on many bridges, and every time that I drive on a bridge, I'm like, kind of looking over it, and I'm like, man, engineering has come so far. It's just so crazy, and I'm grateful for it. Well, it's good to be grateful because not all the time did things work out. And so, I don't know, Tim, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, there's a lot. First of all, like it's very sad, all the people's lives who were affected. So we're not just talking about the people that were on the bridge. Well, obviously they had family members. So, people woke up this morning having lost loved ones. And so we're never going to joke about the situation. What's kind of nuts is, where we're going to go with the conspiracy theories. I've heard so much about this, and I've heard people screaming that this has to be a terrorist attack. I've heard other people saying, "Oh no, like there's actually a call that went out warning, like I guess the boat, the guy lost control of the boat, and so they sent a call, and supposedly they were able to save lives by limiting traffic on the bridge. But I still see cars going up and down the bridge, so I'm like, how much did they limit this traffic? Either way, play it again, T-Stream. I'm just sitting here, and again, I don't know. I'm no expert. I wasn't there. People much smarter than me can break down what's happening. Does that boat not curve? Does not turn directly into that pillar?
No.
That's just I'm just watching that. That is not a boat that's going straight. That turns right when it needs to hit a pillar. Yeah. I don't know. That's what do you guys think in chat? Do you guys think that it's an overreaction to think that maybe there's some sort of coincidence here? Is it just a coincidence or is it not a coincidence? Let me know what you think in chat. But no matter what it is, thoughts and prayers to every single person whose life was affected there in Baltimore, and again to the city of Baltimore. They're just going through it. Let's just reflect on Baltimore here for a second, T-Shroom. You come out of COVID and they did the testing. They've never had such low scores in children's grades since coming out of COVID, that the youth of Baltimore is I think it was like in every school there wasn't a single school with a passing grade, average passing grade in class. So you're losing Baltimore from inside the city. Here more recently, there's been such negativity towards police officers, and there's been budget cuts and everything else, to where there was a night where in the entire city of Baltimore, only 3 police officers were on duty. Tell me what that's a recipe for. And now, again, why is Baltimore such a big city in the first place? Because this is where a lot of shipping comes in and out. There's a reason why that bridge is there, and we have massive boats in the harbor. That's how Baltimore's economy rolls, and now all of a sudden that's going to get shut down here for a little bit due to all of this chaos. This is Baltimore's just been giving blow after blow after blow. So thoughts and prayers to their entire city and the people in there.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what really is going to come out of this. I'm sure there'll be some kind of investigation, I would hope. If you look at it on Google Maps today, I brought this up just to kind of show folks who maybe aren't too familiar with the geography of the United States how close Baltimore is to the nation's capital, right? If it does come out that there was some intent, for some sort of nefarious, some kind of malevolent motivation behind this, that would be unfortunate. But if you look on Google Maps, I mean, this is affecting people's daily lives. All the people that live in here that are going to move over here to work during the day, and vice versa. This bridge is no longer an option. I can only imagine the traffic jam, right? That would be in here. Yeah. Actually, we might be able to see it. Could be wrong on that, but in any case, guys, I mean, it's not good, right? And of course, this. I was actually as you can see, it's pretty congested here. Pretty congested. You guys didn't tune in for Baltimore traffic report, obviously, but I was in Baltimore last year visiting a friend who had a travel contract there, just kind of working, and it just seemed like a city that's just kind of lost. Like there were some places that were kind of nice by the university that's there. What's the university that's is it Maryland University?
I don't think it's in Baltimore. I don't. No,
maybe it's in Annapolis.
It's probably a little bit outside of Baltimore, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, it was like there was
the
that
Naval
area.
Academy is in Annapolis.
Yeah. So I mean, look, it wasn't great. Like my experience there, I was like, wow, this is subpar. I'd much rather live in Gainesville, Florida. But maybe you're from there. You have a different opinion. I'm sure you do. I mean, the Ravens are a good football team usually, I'd say.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They are. Like I said, and it's just one of those things. Yeah, I forgot about that blow. Obviously the ones I said were more serious, but they have all those things happen. Then they have a chance. They were the number 1 seed going to the playoffs, and then they don't. Some people are thinking that's a little bit of a conspiracy that the Baltimore Ravens were left out of the Super Bowl. But either way, again, no matter what you think about outside attack or not, and you can. This is one of those situations where we can sit and complain about politics all day long, and to be fair, we should. There is a lot of politics that happen that are crushing the city of Baltimore, and it should make you angry. But at the same time, I think that, TCM, I think sometimes people get way too angry about the politics, and they completely forget about the actual people.
Yeah.
And that's what's so sad is, are politics that play at ruining the city of Baltimore? More than likely, yes. Does that change the fact, though, that your heart should be absolutely broken for the people of Baltimore? No. And I would argue we should use the same amount of energy in our hearts being broken for people as we use in our anger for what hurt those people. There's a time and a place for both of them.
Yeah.
But that's where my heart is today. It's just like, hey, great stuff or bad stuff, corruption or not, there are thousands of people's lives who are affected by this travesty last night, and it's really sad.
Yep. Absolutely. Now we'll pull out of Baltimore and we'll actually go over to Hong Kong for this next story. Hong Kong likely to allow in-kind creation for spot Bitcoin ETF. We do have a little time here, so I'll go ahead and indulge in some of the details here. In-kind redemptions are the more frequently used method of ETFs, as the underlying asset doesn't actually have to be sold. It's therefore preferred by investors and issuers for cost, tax, and liquidity reasons. Cash redemptions, on the other hand, the antithesis to in-kind, right? The opposite. Cash redemptions, on the other hand, mean ETF shares can be exchanged only for cash, which generally means costlier tax and trading considerations. Does that matter to you? Probably not a whole lot, right? But some folks are going to know what that means. What's important here is that Hong Kong is making those same steps that we saw in the lead up to the January 10th exception, the approval from the SEC for the spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, this is good. This is definitely not as big a news as what we saw in the United States. Are we going to see huge inflows? We don't know. That we could be. I mean, Robert, I reported this morning, Robert Kiyosaki called the Chinese real estate market toast, right? So there could be a lot of folks wanting to rotate out of real estate in China and Hong Kong into the Bitcoin ETFs. But my guess is that it's going to be a lot more muted inflows into those ETFs. But I would love to be pleasantly surprised, Tim. Are you any thoughts on this one? I know this is a little bit of a smaller narrative, but we're talking about the people. I would really love for the people of Hong Kong and the people of China to be able to have exposure to the freedom coin, Bitcoin, right, in the future of money. I have nothing against the Chinese people. I think their leadership, is what it is. But the people are just like you and me. They're clocking into work. They're doing what they can. They go home. They relax with their family that they love.
Yeah.
Why should they have any kind of barrier to Bitcoin? I don't think they should.
Yeah, and that's what's I'll tell you what, the sad part of this conversation is we can sit here and talk about till we're blue in the face what people should and should not be allowed to do. We don't have control over that. We are not in control of the Chinese government, but I'm hoping that the whole world, whether they are currently at odds with the United States or they're allies of the United States, I want every country to give their people the freedom to actually get to financial stability and financial freedom with hard currency. Of course, the reality is we all know that Bitcoin is a threat to the elite's control of the poor. That is the ultimate problem that the world has right now is a very, very small percentage of people make the decisions that impact the mass majority. And one of the reasons why is because that small minority controls money. And the truth is, even when Bitcoin let's say the whole world adopted Bitcoin, there's still going to be a small minority that owns the majority of the wealth, but at least they have to play by the same financial rules as the poor. Whereas right now, under the broken system of fiat currency, the rich play by much different rules. The elites that make the laws and decide when money is printed and when it doesn't get printed, they get to live by completely different financial rules than those of us who go and clock in and clock out of work and we have minuscule jobs. We're just trying to live as happy and as normal life as possible. We don't play by the same rules as them because we don't. The money is so broken. Bitcoin changes that. And guess what? If anyone thinks that Bitcoin is going to solve poverty, it might aspects of it, but it won't solve all of it. Some people have mindsets that you cannot make a person not be impoverished. They've actually, in one way or another, chosen to be that way. But I still think there's millions of people who are hardworking, dedicated, ethical, moral people who have not been given a fair chance to pull themselves out of the pits they've been thrown into. And that's what Bitcoin does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all need help sometimes, and Tim, you said a lot there, but I think we all do need help sometimes. It looks like you actually finally got some of the help that you needed, Tim, yesterday in a mixed therapy session here. You went doubles with Nick DeMondi, the Druth, kind of helping you out. Now, I asked the bros, I said, to caption this. Now, we have some funny ones here. Brace for potential profanity, because I haven't read all these, but the C9D FTW said, these pro-tenant states are getting out of hand. Basement therapy. Covering this tonight on the show. So Jake Perry is covering this. That's pretty cool. Make sure to tune in.
Yeah, shout out to Jake.
To that. That's probably pretty good. When the Druth explain how he's prepper and how bad he wants to tank again. Gotta love that. I'm recovering Bitcoin holic. I relapsed. That's good and unrelated.
That's not a problem. It's not a problem to be a Bitcoin holic.
And then, Tim, we get into what became the theme of this thread, which is every day is leg day.
Yeah.
You had DJ Khaled tuning in, saying, me with my popcorn, waiting for the internet to respond. But then we also had another comment about your legs, and this was my favorite one. This one got retweeted by me. It said, from Joe Nickel, Tim just agreed to do this so he could show off dim legs. He's about to squat the whole room. So, Tim, my question for you is, what do you do? What is your leg regimen? I mean, we got a little bit of a peek here at that thigh. Maybe you didn't want to peek at that thigh, but you got it. Tim, what do you think about your leg day? What is your approach? How do you do it? How do you stay so fit?
Hey, guys, Winners win. That's all I have to say about it. Every day is leg day if you train correctly. I mean, I was an athlete. Some people sleep on it. Some people think I'm lying. I was an athlete, and athletes train legs days, and I was always a big athlete too. I mean, I in high school, my senior season, I was the running back at 220. I could dunk a basketball. Well, you got to got some pythons on your legs if you're going to be 220 pounds, 5'10", and still dunk a basketball. So yeah, legs are probably my top priority when I train. Obviously, I train upper body as well. But those you are sleeping on it, listen, I don't lie. I do have to train. Yeah, those are me when I was a baby right there.
Okay.
I've grown since then. Just kidding. I don't know. It's mostly genetics. I've always had very strong legs. My dad had very strong legs. He was like a bicycle, like he was a cyclist or whatever, and there's some genetics in there for sure.
Your dad
But
was
I
a
would say,
bicycle?
for anyone out there who says, "Can I get legs like Tim?" Maybe not. I'm just honest with you. I don't know. But if you want to start the route, the concept of people doing legs once a week, that is a myth. You should be doing legs 2 to 3 times a week at the least. And it's also better for your overall body. You burn way more calories and you train your whole body way more on leg day than you do on upper body days. Yeah, go do some leg day routines here soon.
Absolutely. Now, Tim, we do have a factoid of the day. We're going to get to that, but have you been seeing any shout outs for Q&A? Guys, go ahead and jump in to the chat and let us know what tickers do you want us to take a look at. Can be stocks, can be commodities, could be cocoa if you want. We had cocoa pulled up yesterday, but more than likely you have some cryptos, some altcoins that are tickling your fancy. You don't know whether or not it's a good time to buy or what levels might be retraced. But Tim, it's brought to you by ALGO today. ALGO is our trading indicator partner. And the question of the day is the factoid: when did Hawaii join the United States? Was it A, 1875, 1922, 1959, or 1899?
1959. It's right off the bat. I don't need GS help today. It is C.
Why do you know? Why do you think you know this so confident?
Because there is Hawaii and what was the other state? Was it Hawaii and Alaska at the same time? The most recent states added. I think so, and it's very recent, like very very recent.
Okay.
So that's the most recent date right there.
Well, you got it. I'm impressed, Tim. I'm impressed. As you can see here, indeed, admitted to the Union August 21st, 1959. And on the heels of the factoid, it would appear as though we have a super chat.
Oh, Morgan Powell says PNG versus GFI price prediction. Thank you. I'm not going to be able, Morgan, to get those in during the show. We can take a look, but there's a handful of information I need to address to give a price prediction. I need to do research and get an expectation of how high we think these coins can fly, maybe something they're similar to, that we could pinpoint an area for their market cap. Unfortunately, though, Morgan, I'm sorry, not going to be able to do that on the live show, but thank you for the super chat.
All right. Well, Army Piper said MSTR. That would be a good place to start. That's MicroStrategies. And maybe we could just look at one of those, maybe PNG or GFI. But we also had asked about the used car industry. I actually have an answer for you, French Toaster. We'll get to that after MSTR. So Tim, take it away with MicroStrategies. This is the company that owns a lot of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is one of the big leaders over there. Let's take a look.
Man, hitting a new all-time high today.
Very nice.
Blue technically, so we opened at an all-time high, but we went a little bit higher today. So that's a nice little bullish sign, but also makes you say, okay, this price is a little overextended. Let's take a look at what we have going on. Let's take a look before we pull up ALGO. Let's take a look at a couple other kind of more traditional thoughts that we have going on here. First of all, Fibonacci-wise, we have not quite hit on the logarithmic chart that first level of 1.236, which would come in closer to 2200. Let's see about linear, though. That might get us a little close. Yeah, we're passing it there. Yeah, we came up. It looks like where we have just rejected. If we reject, we did just get to the 1.5 on the linear chart. So from the previous all-time high, we're up 50%. That's pretty cool. However, again, that's not going to tell us everything we need to know. And ultimately, right now, MicroStrategy is very influenced by news and excitement and all of the Bitcoin they keep on buying over and over and over again. Let's see what Lux is saying here on the daily chart. We'll look at the daily chart. We'll look at the 4 hour as well, but we'll look at the weekly. Let's start with the weekly. Let's see where it's doing. Not showing signs of being overextended necessarily. It's overextended, but not showing signs of reversal. Yes, we had a reversal triangle come in, but the weekly chart money flow is not only excessive buyers still in the space. We have a positive money flow above the bullish threshold. Now, of course, we're going to be bearish for probably a week or two before this chart tells us it's bearish. But right now, everything's still pointing to the upside on the weekly. Let's see what we have going on over here. We did hit a take profit. But an order block's coming in way down lower, back at 483. Don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I don't think the weekly order blocks are going to come into play. Let's take a look at the daily chart instead, though. So we're coming down a significant amount. Did hit a buy order here recently. Do have take profit coming in higher, up towards 1962, up to above 2,000 coming in. When we look at the money flow, we look at the Luxembourg oscillator. Check it out. We did have a little bit of a time period where it looked kind of scary in turns. I actually probably would have entered a short right here when I saw these excessive buyers come out. Oh, no, would you look at that? It probably would have been actually a decent little short come in as you see the negative money flow, the bearish momentum, the red reversal. But clearly the money flow is back going positive again, about to cross that bullish threshold. So if you're sitting here saying on the daily chart, should you be shorting MicroStrategy? The answer is definitely no. What about the 4 hour chart? Is there a scalp opportunity kind of presenting itself? No, there's not. Money flow positive, momentum positive. We did get a red reversal, but again, when these two things are positive, who cares what that's saying? Ultimately, we still have some further room to go to the upside. Look for the next spot, 2,000. I mean, that's the next spot we're looking at. And then once we get there, I'm not going to say we have to reverse. That's the next stopping point to reevaluate. MicroStrategy continuing to be very, very strong. And anyone who's out here trying to be bearish on it, you're not seeing the signs on the chart saying you should be. That's all. That's MicroStrategy right there. Staying bullish. I'm not going to buy any because again, it's very overextended. But I'm not shorting it anytime soon either.
Yeah. Well, we had a question here from French Toaster. Said, "Can we chart used car prices?" So, to my knowledge, TradingView. Yeah, so TradingView does not have that. I could be wrong. It might exist out there, but where I turn to for my information on the used cars market is the Manheim Index. So this is the used vehicle value index. I look at this when I'm trying to front run the Fed on the CPI or something like this on a inflation print. Wholesale used vehicle prices decreased in the first half of March. And if we zoom in on this chart, you can see that obviously January 20th was a huge bullish catalyst for used car prices. That's because everybody during the pandemic, was freaking out. They didn't want to buy a new car. They bought used cars. Well, the price peaked, and you can't see it all that well because of, but in the current prices, this is up to date. It's come back down to 200. So it peaked up just above 250. It's come back to 200. What does that mean for you? Not a whole lot, especially if you don't live in the United States, because this is only going to be relevant to that locality, that market. But ultimately here, the used prices are coming down. And I have been kind of scouting. I really want to buy a new hybrid vehicle at some point, although I probably won't be buying another vehicle for the next 5 years, just based on what I'm going to be doing. A lot of travel. Don't need more than one car. But prices have come down. They have come down, and ultimately, I don't know if there's a TradingView chart for it. So then there was another question about AVAX and Chainlink. Tim, I think you've done some pretty good price predictions on both of those coins.
Yes.
Off the top of your head, what are the upside potentials for Chainlink and AVAX?
Yeah, so I will say Chainlink, my very, very, very bullish prediction of saying that they could become the top 3 coin in crypto. We're talking about, I'm going to turn off Lux. I'll go here for a second because, again, that's not going to tell me anything. Gosh, come on now. I've said that I think that Chainlink, if it gets to a top 3 coin, should have the market cap to do a level all the way up towards $700, $800. Again, massive gains where we currently are. It's ranked number 14, so that's why it'd be such a big gap. But yeah, we're talking about potential 38x if it gets to top 3 ranking. Let's just say it gets into the top 10 or so, right? We're still talking about upwards of more than a 10x coming in, probably somewhere closer to $300, $400, still looking around a 20x at this point. Chainlink, one of my coins, I made a video today, 6 coins that could still 20x that are in the top 100. Chainlink was the first on the list because it's the top ranked coin I chose. I think, again, I think we might still push closer to 40x from here, but 20x to me, $400 range, I think that that's all but given at this point. The question is, how special can Chainlink get? Can it get that $500, $600 billion market cap, or does it stay at something? Does it only go to like 200, 300 is the question we're asking right now. Yeah. AVAX on the hand. He has asked both of those. AVAX, I don't know if we still have a 20x left in, so I left it off that one. I think I gave a $600 AVAX prediction. I think this one stays in the top 10. But ultimately, guys, once you get to the top 10, it's really hard to make moves further to the upside. I like AVAX. I think it's a good coin. But I don't think it's going to be able to crash into the top 5. I think it stays closer to a $200 billion market cap, give or take. We get somewhere around $600, and we have a 10x. 10, 11x, somewhere in that range is where I have AVAX, which, by the way, don't turn your nose up at that. That's a good gain right there. Just because there's some smaller coin that might do like a 40x, I like having some holdings in coins that are safe, and then I have a little bit of my pot that I'm like, all right, this coin could 50x. Let's see if I can turn $500 into whatever the math of that is.
Absolutely. Piper piping in with a pretty good chat here. Why not both? I hold 1 Bitcoin and MSTR/CleanSpark. So, and as do I. Yeah. It's and those are good names to hold for sure, because those have a lot of good Bitcoin exposure, and a lot of times they're kind of a leverage play. They'll do multiples of Bitcoin's movement, and that can obviously be bad, for your heart and your fear on down days. But it's real good, and if you have the diamond hands, the cojones to hold, then you should. Taking a look here, I've got this pulled up. This is the Bitcoin to Qs. So Bitcoin to the QQQ, which is a Nasdaq ETF. You can see that we're not too far from the all-time highs here, about 18% from those highs as compared to the Qs. You saw that we broke out here. I'm on a monthly chart. We broke out here in February. That was really, really good. So far, we're putting in a nice, healthy green candle with a nice wick higher. So this is essentially Bitcoin versus the stock market. So is money rotating out of the stock market and into Bitcoin? Well, according to this chart, it does seem to be, kind of indicating something along those lines. So that's just something that I like to point out and pick on every once in a while, just for everybody's reference point.
Very, very interesting. Any other chat you saw in there that interested you? I saw someone say, missed it. I think ADD Dad said, I'm behind the video. Do you trade an iTrust account? Do you trade in iTrust account? I wouldn't. You definitely can buy and sell an iTrust, but you're still susceptible to those same capital gains taxes that you are.
Nope.
The fees are yes. If I buy today and take profit a year from now, I pay capital gains tax.
Nope. No. So it doesn't work like that, actually. So you don't pay capital
some sort of tax.
You pay an income tax based on your tax bracket, and we're not tax advisors. We're not tax pros, so make sure you talk to the pros. And they do have pros at iTrust you can talk to. But no, so capital gains tax is taxed at your income bracket when you go ahead and start taking distributions from your IRA in your retirement. So that is not applicable if you take early distributions with penalties. So no, you do not have to pay as far as I know, you do not pay capital gains tax like a trader.
You're right. I think the conversation I had with Daniel, I thought you were trying to say you don't pay anything at all. I think you're right, Tishon. I think it's not capital gains tax. Mm-hmm. What you pay is a penalty, and you pay a tax that effectively, I remember because I had the same question when I signed up for mine a couple years ago. Effectively, the fees you're going to pay are the same as the capital gains tax. Now, the reason why you also shouldn't trade there is because the fees, obviously, like the purchases, like there's a 1% fee here and there. That's not a good trading fee. You don't want to be trading in and out of. I would heavily advise you to do the best you can to whatever you put in that Roth IRA. You are going to go ahead and stick with that until retirement, until you can take it out penalty free, tax free, and everything else. It is not our suggested trading platform. That would be Blofin, where the fees are a lot better. We're talking about 0.%, like 0.6% or something like that.
For those of you who can take a screenshot of this right here and zoom in a little more, but if you're in, these are the tax rates for 2024. Now these are subject to change, obviously, in the future. But when you go to retire, ideally the way these tax advantage accounts work, 401k as well, is when you retire, you drop down to the lowest tax bracket because you're retired. You don't have a job. You don't have an income, right? Mm-hmm. From your labor, obviously from your capital, you do. That's the goal. But you're not actually in an income bracket, or you go down to the lowest. That's a 10% tax rate. So that's what you would be taxed on instead of capital gains taxes, which is much higher, right? So again, not tax pros. Assume that this is not wrong, but will be different by the time you retire. So make sure that you look back into it and talk to a tax pro. We're just here. I do believe in what I just said is true, but make sure that you're double, triple checking with tax pros, because we're more on the investing side, not so much on the tax side professionally.
For sure. Let's see here. Stuart says BTC still needs to retrace to 58K. This will solidify the run after halving. Maybe. The 58K was one we had our eyes on. There are some signs on Bitcoin that it might be done going below 60. Again, earlier in the channel, I talked about a potential pullback to 64, 63 area, which would still be a higher low. But let's see what the charts are saying ultimately. It's definitely not out of the woods to go to 58K. It's not out of the woods to go to 48K. It's getting less and less likely, but the charts could always open up. There could be some sort of news story that comes out of nowhere that takes the world by storm. But ultimately, T-Shirt, tell me if you disagree, but I think we're still just seeing way, way too much buying pressure of the ETFs. We rallied despite the fact that we still saw big outflows from which one was it? That was the Grayscale one, but what's the ticker for it called?
GBTC. GBTC.
They still lost 350 million in one day, but there was just so many buy orders it overran it and still went positive on the day. So what I'm looking for, and here's where we're going to get to. I still believe that greater than 20% pullback is going to happen at some point in this bull market, and that means the bull market is not over yet. But what we're going to need to see at this point is we're going to need to see a massive slowdown in ETF inflows, because right now that is still as strong as it was at the first day. We're not seeing those signs come in saying that we're ready for a 30%, 25%, 30% retracement in Bitcoin just yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was a little confusing the way you said that. You're saying we're not going to see that retracement, that potential 20% until the inflows slow.
Yeah, inflows.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we did get a 17% pullback from the 2024, from the all-time highs, right around the time, that there was the beginning of this prolonged period of outflows, net outflows. So this is all of them. This is all the ETF outflows. This is Wisdom Tree, Franklin Templeton, Van Eyck, BlackRock, and Fidelity, and Grayscale, right? So on this side, it's broken down by issuer. On this side, it's an aggregate of all of them daily. So as you can see, we've been in a dearth, mostly outflows, net outflows, not good, but price has been going up. So, there's some funky business going on. Obviously, one way to interpret this is the spot market's like, I don't care. We're going to buy regardless of whether or not the ETF inflows or outflows. And that could have to do with a lot of international buying. It could have to do with a lot of different things, but ultimately, price is going up. It hit support. Are we going to get back down below 60? Not without an event, in my humble but educated opinion.
Yeah, the inflows definitely slowed down there for a little bit, but they're still significant enough. Like, there's days where the outflows outpace them, but I think we're going to need to see the inflows really, really slow down before we see a pullback. Tech AA said, had a quick question. And we're probably going to wrap it up with this one. Got to get some other stuff done for the day, and we'll be back tomorrow. Tech AA said, had a quick question. If anyone can answer it, please, can you long or short new coins which just released? If you find the right exchange, yes, you can. Like, I know that's one thing Blofin actually, keep your eyes on Blofin if you have that account. They are trying to stay up to date with a bunch of new coins. I like Bohm, for example. Last week, T-Shrim won the whole trading challenge pretty much just off of Bohm, even though it really wasn't that old of a coin, he was able to short it there on Blofin. So, that's one of the things you can do. I'm not going to say every single new coin is going to be listed on Blofin. In fact, we actually found out this week, T-Shroom chose 2 coins in his trade that were not on Blofin, so he had to pick some backups. So they're not going to have everything, but there's other exchanges out there as well. While we partner with Blofin, if you find another exchange you like and is constantly giving you, newer coins that you want to trade, go for it. But the answer to that question is yes. Tech AA, try Blofin. Check out the link down below. See if that helps. But there's several exchanges out there you can keep an eye on. And what you can really do if you guys want to find out what you want to do. Like, I'm not going to show you like a brand new coin, but let's just say, go to my screen here. Let's say I wanted to learn how to trade AIOZ. What do we call this? IOs? I don't know how we pronounce it.
AIOZ. I like AIOZ.
AIOZ. You can go into CoinMarketCap and you can find out. Let's see, where do they have it? Because it's been a while since I've even had to do this. They have it on here, different places. Is it about? I think under about, you can go and find where you can trade. Ethereum trade. That's not telling me right there. I don't think. Oh man, I say this and then I didn't show you where it was. T-Shroom, you know what I'm talking about? Where on here does it usually tell you the exchange that it has?
Scroll up in the middle. In the middle? Yep, right there.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I knew it was on here. There we go. Yeah, so AIOs, you can get on Coinbase, Get.io, KuCoin, RIP, too soon. Bybit, PancakeSwap, Uniswap, PancakeSwap. Yeah, so any coin you want to trade, Tech AA, go to CoinMarketCap, scroll under, I guess it's on Markets. So Markets is where you're going to see exchanges you can go and buy or sell and trade every single coin. But with that said, though, everybody, that is all we have for today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. A lot of deep conversation, a lot of thoughts went in today's stream. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we get a nice bullish day and we can have fun once again. But with that said, smash the like button on your way out, hit subscribe, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.